You know that feeling when you finally close your laptop at 5 p.m., but instead of feeling relief, you feel this weird creeping sense of guilt, like you should be doing something else? Picture this. It's Tuesday evening. You're exhausted. Your brain feels like fried eggs, but instead of turning on Netflix or just staring at the ceiling, you open another app. Maybe it's a freelancing platform, maybe it's a delivery app, or maybe you're trying to edit that YouTube video you promised yourself you'd launch. You're physically present in your living room, but mentally you're already clocking into shift number 2. There's this tightness in your chest, a specific kind of anxiety that whispers, if you aren't making money right now, you're falling behind. You look at Instagram and see some 22-year-old claiming to make 6 figures drop-shipping humidifiers, and suddenly your full-time job, the one that actually pays your rent, feels like a failure. It feels like a trap. But honestly, the anxiety you feel isn't because you aren't working hard enough. It's because you've been sold a lie that is slowly rewiring your brain to view every second of your existence as a billable hour. And frankly, it's probably keeping you broke. My name is Neo, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, specifically the weird psychological games we play with ourselves in the name of getting ahead. If you're someone who wants to build actual sustainable wealth without grinding your nervous system into fine dust, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up giving you a little bit of breathing room today. Most financial gurus will tell you that the secret to wealth is multiple streams of income. So you've heard it a million times, right? They say the average millionaire has 7 streams of income, so you need to start a side hustle immediately. They tell you that relying on one paycheck is risky, that you need to diversify, that you need to be hustling while everyone else is sleeping. The conventional wisdom says that if you have free time and you aren't monetizing it, you're leaving money on the table. Most people think the side hustle is the escape hatch. They think it's the path to freedom. But here's the thing they're missing, and it's a big one. They aren't accounting for the psychological overhead. They treat your energy like it's an infinite resource, like a battery that never degrades. But what if I told you that for most people, not everyone, but most, the side hustle is actually a poverty trap disguised as ambition? It's not the ladder out, it's the weight keeping you down. Here is the core thesis I want you to sit with today. The obsession with side hustles is often a psychological defense mechanism that distracts you from the much higher value of mastering your primary career, destroys your ability to make good long-term decisions, and ironically caps your earning potential. Think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to find water. You can either dig one well that goes 100 feet deep, right down to the aquifer where the water is pure and endless, or you can dig 20 holes that are 5 feet deep. The side hustle culture tells you to dig the 20 shallow holes. You're working harder, you're sweating more, you're constantly moving dirt, but you never hit the water. You just end up with a backyard full of tripping hazards. Psychologically, this fragmentation keeps your brain in a state of constant context switching, which creates a scarcity bandwidth. When your bandwidth is clogged with low-value tasks, you literally cannot see the high-value opportunities right in front of you. This is the turning point where ambition backfires. Let's dive deeper into what is actually happening in your brain when you fall into this trap. When you don't have clear boundaries between work and life, your brain operates in a chronic state of low-grade survival mode. We call this time scarcity. Research in behavioral science shows that when you feel like you never have enough time, your IQ literally drops. It's comparable to losing a night of sleep. You see, when you finish your 9 to 5 and immediately pivot to a side hustle, let's say driving Uber or trying to sell print-on-demand t-shirts, you aren't giving your brain the recovery time it needs to consolidate memory and solve complex problems. You're keeping your cortisol levels elevated. Cortisol is the stress hormone. When it's high, your brain prioritizes immediate short-term rewards over long-term planning. You become hyper-focused on making an extra $50 tonight, and you lose the capacity to strategize for the $50,000 promotion next year. You're trading dollars for pennies because your brain is screaming for immediate safety. Now let's talk about the identity shift, because frankly, this is where it gets interesting. When you split your focus, you fracture your professional identity. Instead of seeing yourself as a senior marketing strategist in training, you start seeing yourself as a gig worker trying to scrape by. This is a profound psychological shift. Your self-worth gets tied to the hustle, to the grind, rather than to mastery. Let me give you an example. I had a friend, let's call him Mark. Mark was a junior graphic designer. He was talented, but he was anxious about money. So every night and weekend, he took on cheap freelance gigs on Fiverr. He was making logos for $50 a pop. He felt productive. He felt like he was grinding. But because he was working 80 hours a week between his job and his hustle, he was exhausted at his main job. He stopped learning new software. He stopped networking with the senior directors. When a senior art director position opened up, a role that came with a $40,000 raise, Mark didn't get it. He was too burned out to even put a portfolio together. He was too busy picking up pennies to notice the gold bar sitting on the desk next to him. He became the guy who does okay work everywhere instead of the guy who does exceptional work somewhere. Then there is the issue of decision fatigue and opportunity recognition. When you are constantly switching contexts from employee to freelancer to delivery driver, you are burning through your daily allotment of good decisions. We call this decision fatigue. By the time a real life-changing opportunity comes along, maybe a chance to invest in a friend's startup or a complex project at work that could put you on the executive track, your brain is too tired to process it. You default to the path of least resistance. You miss the forest because you are too busy chopping down individual saplings. Opportunity recognition requires slack in the system. It requires open mental space. Wealth is rarely built in linear increments. It's built in step functions. It comes from one great idea, one key relationship, or one strategic move. But those things require bandwidth. If your mind is cluttered with the logistics of a side hustle, shipping labels, customer complaints, scheduling, you have zero slack. You are operationally efficient but strategically blind. Think about that for a second. When was the last time you had a brilliant idea while you were stressed out of your mind and rushing to meet a deadline? Probably never. Good ideas come in the shower. They come on a long walk. They come when you're bored. By filling every second with a hustle you are frustrated, you are effectively sterilizing your creativity. You are killing the very thing that could actually make you rich. And frankly, we have to talk about the social cost, which is actually a financial cost in disguise. We like to think money is math, but money is mostly people. Promotions, partnerships, deals, they come from people. If you are the person who always says, I have to work on my side hustle when your colleagues go out for drinks or when your friends organize a dinner, you are isolating yourself from the network that facilitates real wealth. You're saving $50 on dinner to make $50 working, but you miss the conversation that could have led to a $10,000 opportunity. It sounds abstract, but it's real. The busy badge of honor is actually a closed for business sign to the universe. Like humans are social creatures and business is a social game. By withdrawing to grind in solitude, you are removing yourself from the serendipity engine of life. You are trading high-value social capital for low-value labor capital. It's a bad trade. Finally, let's look at the long-term compound effects of this mindset. When you operate in this fragmented state for years, you don't just lose money. You lose the ability to deepen your primary skills. Compounding applies to skills just as much as it applies to interest. If you spend 10 years getting 1% better at your main career every day, you become a master. You become undeniable. You command the highest fees. But if you spend 10 years getting 0.1% better at 5 different things, you are a novice at everything. The market pays for mastery. It pays for specialization. It does not pay a premium for a generalist who is tired all the time. This is the difference between active income and wealth. Active income is linear. wealth is exponential. The side hustle trap keeps you linear. It keeps you on the hamster wheel, running faster and faster, but never actually moving forward. But here's where most people mess this up. They hear this and think, okay, Neo, so I should just be lazy? No, that's the binary trap. The mistake people make is assuming the only alternative to hustling is wasting time. They think if they aren't driving for DoorDash, they're just rotting on the couch. That is a false dichotomy. Another huge mistake is ignoring the difference between active income and scalable value. Most side hustles are just second jobs with worse benefits. Like if your side hustle requires your direct presence and pays a linear hourly rate, it's not a business, it's a job. And it's usually a bad one. People also fail to calculate the switching cost. It takes mental energy to switch from accountant mode to Etsy seller mode. That energy isn't free. You pay for it in the quality of your work and the quality of your sleep. And frankly, the biggest mistake is engaging in what I call productive procrastination. You're scared to go all in on your main career because if you fail there, it hurts. So you distract yourself with a side hustle. It feels safer to be a mediocre aspiring entrepreneur than to risk trying to be excellent at your actual profession. It's an emotional hedge, not a financial strategy. So how do we fix this? We need a strategic reframe. This isn't about doing less. It's about becoming the type of person who leverages their time rather than selling it. You need to shift your identity from a laborer to an investor, even with your time. Instead of asking, how can I make an extra $500 this month? Try asking, what skill could I learn this month that would increase my market value by $10,000 next year? Do you see the difference? One is linear, the other is exponential. We need to introduce the concept of strategic leisure. In this new framework, rest isn't the opposite of work. Rest is a support system for high-performance work. You are protecting your asset. You are the asset. If you had a racehorse worth $1 million, would you let it run pony rides at children's birthday parties on the weekends to make an extra $50? No. You'd let it rest, eat high-quality food, and train for the Derby. You need to treat yourself like the prize racehorse, not the pony. This is about opportunity cost. Every hour you spend on a $20 per hour task is an hour you are not spending on a $200 per hour skill. You have to be ruthless about this. Let's look at the reality check. And yes, we're going to do some math. But I want to do it with some compassion because I know the numbers can be scary. Let's say you take a side hustle that pays $20 an hour. You work 10 hours a week. That's $200 a week, or roughly $800 a month. Sounds great, right? That covers groceries, but wait, after self-employment tax, which is higher than regular tax, that $20 is more like $14. Then factor in the gas, the wear and tear on your car, or the subscription fees for your software. You're probably down to $10 or $12 an hour. $12 an hour times 10 hours is $120 a week. Over a year, that's about $6,000. Now, look at your main career. Let's say you make $60,000 a year. If you took those same 10 hours a week, 500 hours a year, and dedicated them to getting a certification, mastering public speaking, or becoming the absolute best in your department, could you get a 15% raise or switch companies for a salary bump? A 15% raise on $60,000 is $9,000. That's $9,000 of recurring income. It happens every year forever. It increases your base for future raises. It increases your 401k match. The side hustle gave you $6,000 once at the cost of your sanity. The career focus gave you $9,000 forever, plus a better resume. According to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the gap between the median earnings of someone with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree or specialized certification can often exceed $12,000 annually. Over a 30-year career, if you invested that difference at a 7% return, that's over $1 million, right? The side hustle is costing you $1 million in lost potential. This brings us to the empowering truth. You don't need to do everything. In fact, you win by doing fewer things better. Real wealth, the kind that brings peace of mind, not just a higher number on a screen, comes from focus, not fragmentation. It is time to give yourself permission to stop running. It is okay to just have a job. It is okay to come home at 5 p.m. and just be a human being. In fact, that might be the most profitable thing you can do. Sorry, by reclaiming your mental bandwidth, you are setting yourself up to spot the real opportunities when they arise. You are building a life where you don't need a side hustle to survive. So here is my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, fire your side hustle, or if you don't have one, stop feeling guilty about it. Take that extra energy and pour it into your sleep, your health, and one high leverage skill in your main field. Become undeniable at one thing, rather than mediocre at 5. Your future self doesn't want the burnout. Your future self wants the freedom that comes from mastery. You've got this. I'll see you in the next one.